The eggplant pre-breeding project is part of the Crop Wild Relatives initiative. The main objective of the project is to use crop wild relatives in order to obtain eggplant materials with better adaptation to climate change. During these days, we are having the second yearly review meeting in Sri Lanka, in Peradeniya, and we are reviewing the activities we have made during the second year, the outcomes of the project, and also coordinating and preparing the activities for the next year. The most important activities have been to obtain a set of introgression lines with Solanum incanum, which is a plant from desertic areas of the Middle East. And these introgression lines have also been hybridized with local varieties from Ivory Coast and Sri Lanka. And during this next year, these materials will be tested. This is one of the parts of the project. And another one involves continuing with the evaluation of backcrosses with many different species. We have been able to obtain hybrids and backcrosses with up to 15 wild different species. So this is a huge number of new materials that have many different introgressions. And these materials, we will do the screen for drought tolerance and other traits, and will be selected in order to continue with the backcrossing project. Hopefully, these materials will be the base for this new generation of eggplant materials that will be used in the coming years in order to adapt the cultivation of eggplant to the upcoming climate change. Also, taking the opportunity of this meeting, we have been visiting experimental fields of the Department of Agriculture that are here in Peradeniya. Here we have a trial of different segregations of backcrosses of eggplant with wild relatives. One of the most evident things is that we can see a high diversity among these generations, but also very important differences in the susceptibility to wilt. There are some crosses, like this one, in which there is complete susceptibility to wilt, while others that we can see there are highly tolerant. So this probably means that there are genes for tolerance to wilt in the wild species that can be used for breeding varieties that are resistant to this important disease. Here we have plants of the same backcross. It's a backcross with Solanum insanum, and this is an additional evidence to the already demonstrated major gene that segregates for prickliness between the wild species and the cultivated ones. For example, here we can see one plant full of prickles and another plant from the same cross with absolutely no prickles. So this segregation of one plant very prickly, one plant without prickles.
It's a very good project because scientifically, when you make a breeding, you want to have a variety with a high production and resistant on disease and climate. So scientifically, you know that these genes are wild species. Is the reason why we cross wild species with cultivated species Melangena to get and at him have a variety who produce and resistant to disease and climate change.
So I think all in all we are progressing well, and I hope that before finishing this activity next year in 2016, we would be able to get a good set of pre-breeding material to be shared with the breeders in Sri Lanka as well as globally, So that will help Sri Lankan farmers and consumers as well as global breeders as well as the people in this world to utilize these important crop pile reduce to come up with pest and disease resistant varieties.